Coach Gray wants to get started here, so we will begin. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our 2024 Hall of Fame at Norwalk High School induction ceremony. The champions are in the building here, if you haven't noticed here. So we've got some champions in the house tonight. Before we lose our food staff on Norwalk City School District, there has been a change since 2014 and when some of you graduated. We have some unbelievable food that we're serving in our school district. So that actually was prepared and done by our staff, Norwalk City School District staff. So Brad Kraft and his crew, if we can give a round of applause and say, this is a special night. You have done so much. Obviously, I'm speaking to you as the players and everyone else for this community. It has been so powerful, and I get chills because I went back looking at the program and seeing these pictures. Like, it takes you right back there to that time and place. There's something so special about that. I sit on the Hall of Fame selection. There are a handful of people in this room tonight that are also serving on the Hall of Fame selection committee. And I can tell you, it was not difficult. It was not a difficult decision. A lot of times we're scouring paperwork. We're looking, how did this person lead his or her life? What's the resume look like while at Norwalk High School? What's the resume look like post-Norwalk High School? What's that resume look like in your career, personal, professional life? That's typically what the Hall of Fame selection committee does, because we want that well-rounded person to be an athlete, a distinguished citizen, or an academic, a scholar. Those are the things we're looking at. But we discussed, for those in this room here that are on that committee, we probably talked about 22 minutes and said the timing is right. The timing is right because we are several months away from the 10th anniversary of you all getting a 2014 state championship. What makes this special to me? We're a small, we'll say rural, Northwest Ohio school. Everybody outside of Norwalk gave us about 0% chance of getting the job done, correct? Would you agree with me? About 0, that might be a little high. All right? Coach Gray, Mr. Renberg, and myself, after we had those scary 2 games, but exciting, at Bowling Green, we had the opportunity to drive down to the Schottenstein. It's the informational meetings when principals get to go, ADs, coaches, and you get all that information delivered to you. Here's the packet of stuff. So I drove, Coach Gray's with me, Mr. Renberg's in the back. We're going down because Mr. Renberg, if you know him, we got there about an hour before everybody else did, and we're waiting, like I'm knocking on the Schottenstein, like open up, so let us in there. That's just how it operates when you're with Mr. Renberg. We get in, and we're at the tables, there's discussing the time, the executive CEO's talking, what's going on, here's what's going to go, here's how tickets work, here's how other things work. And then we get to have a little, similar to what we did here, we had food, we got to eat, and how much attention was given to Norwalk at that time? You had, let's go back to that number again. Because what did we have? They thought, everybody else thought, except people in this room, the first game was the JV game, right? All right, Truckers, they're good Marshall. It doesn't matter, whoever wins that one. The Blue Bloods are the next game. You had Coach Drew Joyce, LeBron's coach, Akron St. V's. You had defending state champion, Bishop Watterson. That was where the champion was supposed to come out of, was that second game. And you all said, And I can tell you, it felt like, and Coach Gray knows this too, it felt like we were at the little kids' table. It felt like we were at the little kids' table. What's your name? Hi, Brian Cooley, Principal, Norwalk High School. Oh, well, how are your kids? You knew, you felt it. Norwalk was a feel-good story. Norwalk was a feel-good story, and I can tell you, it was far more than a feel-good story. And you've all turned it far more than that. But here's the thing, as your principal for those years, I'm not even going to talk about the state championship. That's why you're here. That's why you're going to be a Hall of Famers. You know what the most important thing I liked? You guys are quality people, and all of us know this as parents, community members. Like, we love supporting you because what you all were about, all right? Yeah, we had show, we had athletes, we had all those things it takes to get to the highest level, and to defeat the Blue Bloods. A small rural school in Northwest Ohio said it can be done. A public school, to that matter, because everybody else says it's your powerhouse Catholics, Bishop Watterson. Those are the schools that get it done, and that's still the case today. I can tell you, we love supporting all of you because you are quality people. You are stand-up people, and as a principal, as a teacher, as a secretary, as an AD, we all love waking up and coming to work. We love coming to work because you made it fun for all of us. So it wasn't just 2014 and a state title. You think about the era that most of you in this room, and you're not all the same class, I understand that, but think about the era that going through Norwalk High School, what that experience was like for you. Like, how many years? I'm looking out here at volleyball, 2012, right? We had volleyball in 2012. We had years and years of success. Big man, Jake Featheroff here. Like, we have people outside the window of those being inducted this evening. But man, what a powerful stretch of people that you love to support and get behind. And it wasn't just the truckers that were good. When we woke up, what did we have? We played Ontario. Perkins didn't know what to do with us, but they were tough. Any other year, you'd say Perkins is dancing far down the trail. Perkins ran into a juggernaut known as the Truckers. We had Ontario. We had that. We had Whitmer. We had Nigel Hayes. Like, think about the fun stuff we all experienced. That is incredible. And I'm saying that was a golden era. And I hope there's that era in my future as superintendent because it was a lot of fun. It was so powerful. I appreciate you, and I love the fact that you are quality human beings and darn good athletes and state champions. Thank you all. At this time, we're going to have a video recap.
Definitely brings back some memories. I know, it's crazy to think that was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, feels like yesterday. Congratulations to all the inductees to the Norwalk High School Hall of Fame. As Norwalk principal and a member of the Hall of Fame committee, it's my honor to welcome you all back to Norwalk High School. That year was my first year in this building as a principal, so I kind of got hired in. My first day was the staff day, if I remember right. Kind of a whirlwind, but you guys gave some of the fondest memories that I've ever had, and especially one quick story I'll always remember because my wife was 9 months pregnant when we were down there at the Schottenstein, and you can see it on the Time Warner. I think Time Warner Cable put that on there, and she thought it'd be funny that we won the state title and we were on the court getting ready to hand out medals, and calls me and says, "I'm going into labor right now." So for 1 second, I ran to Mr. Cooley to grab his keys and run out of there, and then she got him. Just joking. Congratulations. So she played that one on me, but every year my daughter's birthday, I just know what year and how long it's been. It brings back some great memories. I would say that, it's easy to look back at all your athletic success, but what I do remember most is the leadership you provided in this building and this community. You set the standard for hard work, great academics, and inspiring others, as you can see by all the fans out there. And I like this picture because Mr. Cooley and I are pointing at the star, because down there at the Schottenstein Court, they had the whole state of Ohio, and there was the Norwalk star put out there. And before we went to the finals game, they're down to just 8 stars on that floor, and that was something special to see all the support for all of them. And yes, I'll never forget my first year at Norwalk High School. It is my honor to introduce the 4 speakers from the basketball team that will be speaking tonight and provide their words of wisdom. And we will start with Mr. Jordan Johnson.
This is, I know for the 4 of us that are going to be speaking, we'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee, the community, our parents, family members, and just all the teammates that we have, whether they were on the freshman team, JV team, and varsity team. Watching that video definitely brings back some memories. I think the biggest thing is when you're in that moment, you're just playing a game. And then after that game, some of us went on to play baseball, track, whatever it was. And then, during that time, you don't know how big of an impact it has on the community, right? So looking back now, being able to see those highlights and just seeing what we were able to accomplish, it was a pretty big deal at the time. It's still a pretty big deal now, 10 years later. Mr. Floyd said something earlier, and I think this is the most important thing, is we're state champions forever. But I think the big thing is that if you look at every member of that team, we're all successful in our way now as adults. And I think that's the bigger picture, and the most important thing is that the success, the leadership, the hard work that we had then, we still have now as adults. And I think that's a cool thing, because some of us might be leaders of communities in other cities here in Norwalk, no matter where it might be. Being able to be a champion, it doesn't have to just be in sport, it can be in life, whenever you make it. So thanks again to everybody that supported us, was there through it all, and it's good to kind of reminisce on all this and see the success we had. Thank you.
Next up, we'll welcome Jeff Thomas, who had multiple replays in that video.
All right, I'm a little nervous. I got my phone out. First, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. I'd like to see all familiar faces, friendly faces. I'd like to thank Coach Gray, Coach Foss, Coach Shute, Coach Lee. You guys pushed me to practice each and every day, each and every game. Now, I will say I do not miss being called a chicken. Coach Gray, you know what he says each and every day, but he prepared me for the next level, and I'm forever grateful for that. When I was a freshman, I told my mother that we would win state. I didn't know when, but I was very confident that we would do it. And 3 years later, it was actually done. During my senior year, now that I'm looking back at it, I really didn't think about state, even making it. I think I was enjoying the moment, enjoying the time that I had with friends, knowing that it would be my last year with everybody. And when we actually won and the buzzer went off, I didn't have the feeling of it was amazing, it was historical. I think it was expected because we had been winning for so long, and I think we were very used to it at this time. My senior year, the class that I graduated with, we've been winning since 7th grade. 7th grade, we were undefeated. 8th grade, we lost 1 game. Freshman year, we lost 6. Sophomore and junior year, we lost 1. We were undefeated. Senior year, we lost 1. That's something that's very special to me. We just became accustomed to it. After I graduated, I went to college, won there, so it was expected. And when I came back to Norwalk, I worked at Sonata Automotive, so I got to meet a lot of people that I didn't know they knew me. And that's all that they talked about, is how special it was to the community, how much joy it brought to the community. I even had somebody come up to me and say we were hometown heroes, which was crazy to me because it's just a game of basketball in my eyes. But it just showed how special it was for everybody. I don't know where I'm at. But that's when I realized that it was very special. And, it's one of those things where people knew where they were at, what they were doing when we won. And, I don't think people will see another Norwalk team like that ever again. I would love for it to be done again, but I don't think it can be matched. It's an honor for me to be up here and be able to speak to everybody. get to see how old everybody has become. But it's really special to see everybody in this room. Thank you.
And next up, we have the other Mr. Hall, Mr. Grant Hall, to speak to everybody.
I'm the other Mr. Hall now. I'm too old for the younger generation to know me as Mr. Hall. My younger brother now teaches here, so now he is the Mr. Hall. So I was guilted into doing this by Coach Lee on Tuesday evening. So I took something together during my office hours this weekend. I want to start off by saying thank you to the Hall of Fame Committee. It's a great honor. Being inducted alongside my teammates and my coaches. Obviously, my coaches. I was around Coach Lee. He coached my older brother in 7th grade. Coach Kreischer had us in 8th grade, and then I was always kind of. Coach Shoup was my 8th grade English teacher, even though he doesn't really remember what happened in 8th grade. So anyways, I was around them in middle school and kind of got to know them and know their personality, and they kind of got to know our class and how we kind of operated and that sort of thing. Getting into high school, Coach Gray, Coach Foster, and Coach even Sellers, right away were invested in us not only as basketball players but as people. And Mr. Cooley and Mr. King and everybody said tonight, we strive to be example citizens in the community and somebody, people that the younger generation can look up to. And I want to also thank teammates. Obviously, we, as seniors, have been together quite a while. 7th grade, I think Ben was in Columbus, and I have a short story I'd like to tell. So we went down to, this was pre-Finley camp, I don't know where we were at, but we were in a summer camp playing. We got destroyed the first game, probably by 20 or 30 points. And I think after that, Jeff, your dad, called Keisha or somebody, and all of a sudden Ben was on our team. He had an air mattress and he was in our dorms, and we ran off about 9 or 10 in a row. And I don't know if that was the decision or not, but we played pretty well together, and we kind of started, we kept playing well after that too. So just something I'll never forget. Lastly, I'd like to thank the community. Obviously, we're a small town. Everybody kind of rallied around the team. We became almost, hometown heroes. We almost felt like superstars. Everybody kind of knew us. We were out at the store, at Chipotle, or wherever. Everybody wants to come up to you and say hi and say, "Oh, congrats," and you're doing great and all this sort of stuff. And obviously, as young kids, we're just kind of like, "Oh, hey, thanks," not really thinking much about it. But looking back on it now, it's good to see, people recognize what we were doing, and even though we didn't really know it at the time, it was something special. So, if you ask me going into senior year, our chances of winning the state championship, I wouldn't have said that it was, probably more than 20%. We were small. Our junior year, we had a very good team. A lot of pressure came with it, but a lot of guys came back from that year. But we did have some roles to fill. Ben, Jeff, and myself, and Jordan were on there, and then kind of had some holes to fill, and eventually at the end of the year we started clicking pretty well. Everybody kind of started to just play loose. You can see in a lot of the highlights. I know they are highlights, right? I can see all the turnovers and the shots and whatnot. But just looking back at those games, even if you look at the films and stuff like that, it was just everybody. Nobody was upset they weren't getting a shot. Nobody was upset they weren't getting past the ball. It was all just kind of a collective team effort. And it was nobody cared who got the credit as long as we were winning and keeping on playing. So that was a fun team to be a part of. You know, our chemistry together. You know, we hung out just about everywhere every day from November until, you know, March. You know, that just was kind of what we did, and you know, I know nowadays they're in video games and this, that, and the other, but we were always out doing something, playing sports, all that fun stuff. So, you know, we were a competitive bunch. We enjoyed to win, but we also like to have fun. You know, that weekend down in Columbus, we hung out a lot together. We went shopping. We did, you know, just about everything together. You know, I remember Joseph and Jordan and I think we were surprised we played so well. We were up till like 1 or 2 a.m. watching the Tanks, Johnny Damon. I remember that. But it's just stuff like that you know, you don't really, you know, of course you remember the basketball and, you know, the time we spent together, but, you know, the friendships that were built and that are to this day, you know, still there. That's kind of the big thing I take away from our program. So, thank you for having us. You know, it's a great honor to be inducted in here, and it's a special time. Thank you.
All right, next up, Mr. Ben Haraway.
So please bear with me. I was expecting to speak after Jeff tonight, but that probably shouldn't make a difference. First off, thank you, Jeff, for the kind words that you just said about me a second ago. Nah, I'm just kidding. No, but honestly, I'd like to thank everyone here, from all my teammates, the coaches, the fans, the parents. You guys meant so much to us, and you helped us so much throughout that journey. I'd like to even thank the people who weren't technically coaches, but they were on the bench giving us the energy. And you might have saw that picture of Dennis up there, because that's who I'm referring to. And especially, I would like to thank whoever put that highlight tape together. I just didn't realize that you had to get a dunk to get a replay. No, but honestly, like, I really am so appreciative of all the teammates that I had throughout all 4 years that I was there. I feel like everyone was just so selfless. I think anyone could have performed better if they were at a different school. They could have got more minutes, they could have scored more points, but I just never felt like that was an issue with our group guys, and I really do appreciate that so much. I also really appreciate the coaches and the coaching staff. There were so many lessons that we learned from the game of basketball, and I feel like they helped us and they ingrained it into our brains. Some of those lessons is hard work. It's crazy how much hard work can do for you in life, in your career, with your family. Leadership, how to overcome adversity, how to deal with pressure. There's so many things. Another thing that comes to mind is accountability. And when I was thinking back about accountability, I thought about a story. One year, I think we had a Saturday practice, and Jeff asked me the night before, what time was practice going to be? And I told him the wrong time. I think I told him an hour later. But surely enough, I was there on time. So Coach Gray was on Jeff so bad that whole practice, and I felt horrible. So I just remember after practice, I was like, I need to do something. Like I was feeling so much weight, I was like, I need to take accountability for this. So I go to Coach Gray and I'm like, Coach, I'm sorry. This was completely my fault. I told Jeff the wrong time. And I felt really good about myself. Like, that's a big moment in my life. But looking back on it now, I realized that I probably should have ran the suicides after instead of Jeff, because he still had to run. So let's just say I was Jeff. No, but yeah, it was a great ride. When I think back to my memories, they were all so good. And like I said earlier, it's all thanks to everyone here. So I'm truly honored and blessed to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I'm glad the whole team was, because I believe everybody deserved it. So I just want to thank you guys all again. And like Coach Gray used to say, the hay is in the barn. We've done all the hard work. We've learned all of our lessons. So now we just can apply those things to the rest of our life. So thank you.
All right, our next speaker will be Coach Lee.
Before I go on script, I gotta go off script first, because watching the video makes you remember things that you had forgotten, like how good Ben's spin move really was. Like, it was really, really good. And like how many big plays Caleb Cashin made down the stretch of the season. Like, you forget some of those things. And, you know, things like Grant Hall does more than just shoot threes. I think he was known for shooting threes, but you saw a lot of plays where he made steals and he got great passes and stuff like that. And since Grant plays with Coach Sellers and I now on Tuesday nights, I'm going to ask you to show some of those things on Tuesday night, Grant, besides just launching threes. But aren't you glad I was able to convince Grant to speak tonight? Isn't that good? So, all right, 2013-14 was probably the best year ever. I was young, not much older than most of the players are now. I had become a dad when my daughter was born in August. And we had something like 14 snow days that year, and a state title. And I don't think it gets any better than that. In 2000, my junior year of high school, I went down to the state tournament with some of my teammates. And it was the first time ever being at the state tournament. And I think it was the first time my parents actually let me and my friends drive to Columbus. But I don't remember a lot about the games that day that I was there. We went to 2 championship games. And I do remember coming home and sharing the program with my dad, and we were baffled just by this 2 freshmen that were playing and how good they were. And one was, we legitimately thought was the ball boy. And he was 7 for 7 from the 3. The other one had 25 points and 9 rebounds. We did not have smartphones then, and we did not have, J.J. Huddle was around, but it hadn't gotten big yet. We had no idea who Drew Joyce and LeBron James were at the time, but we were watching play at the state tournament. And that was my first ever moment at the state tournament. And went back almost every year since. 2002, I watched St. Vincent St. Mary's get upset. Upper Sandusky and the Deeblers in 2005. Watched legends like O.J. Mayo, Aaron Kraft, Jared Sellinger, and so on. But the thing that I remember and enjoyed the most were the crowds. The crowds of the communities that were there. And a lot of people have talked about the community, right? And, you know, when you go down there and you see schools like Ottawa Landorf or New Knoxville or Archville, or Upper Sandusky, Worcester Tribal, they always brought crowds that just filled the Shadiston Center. And I always thought that was neat. It didn't happen very often. In 2011, I watched my good friend Troy Deals take a local team, Fort Clinton, down there, undefeated. But they couldn't really handle Dayton Dunbar. It was just too much for them. The next year, my high school coach made it, and they got blown out in the championship game by Berlin Highland. But they had a really 6'7" movement. That was the same year we were stuck in Division I, playing Whitmer, thinking to myself, like, how hard it is to get to Columbus, how hard it is just to get there, let alone to win. And anyways, you could think about, well, Upper Sandusky won, that was my alma mater, they won in 2005, but how convenient was it they had 2 All-State brothers move in. It just doesn't happen with a community team. So, always as a coach, I ask myself, like, can you actually win an OHSA basketball title this day and age without running into future NBA stars or without going against some parochial team from the city or some makeshift AAU team? And it was always in my head that it just couldn't be done. That we would never be able to win a state title with our own kids. But we did it. You guys did it. And it's pretty special. I can tell you that my belief did not happen in the snap of a finger. Surprised this story hasn't been told yet, but I guess Coach Foster hasn't spoke yet, and neither is Coach Gray. They're the only ones who really know this story, but it's funny. Because Coach Gray had a conference call. We were watching film in the coach's office Monday. I somehow got out of teaching my afternoon classes, so thank you. And we were watching film, and Coach Gray took a conference call. And he had it on speakerphone, and all the other coaches were talking, and Coach Foss and I were listening, and it was like, they're not talking about Norwalk, and the things they're saying about Norwalk didn't really make a lot of sense. And when Coach Gray got off the phone, we all kind of looked at each other and said, I don't even think they've watched tape on us yet. I don't even think they know that we're going to be down there. And Coach Foster and I were watching tape while Coach Gray was on the call, and Coach Foster looked at me and said, I think we can win. And I was like, maybe, I hope you're right, Foss. And I always listen when Foss speaks, so I had a little bit of like this feeling that we could win. And then right here, that same night, I believe, Danny Helton was speaking, and it was the all sports banquet. It's always a good sign when you got your all sports banquet and your season's still going on. It's always a good feeling. I remember Danny Helton got up here and he got on the podium and he's getting really excited. He's like, don't go down there just to have fun. Go down there to win the whole damn thing. And I'm thinking, well, that's great, Danny, but you're a wrestling coach. You have no idea that Thurgood Marshall, how athletic Thurgood Marshall is. You have no idea that Bishop Watterson's the returning state champs, and they returned their entire team. And you have no idea that after St. Vincent St. Mary's has 61 players and literally had players from 3 different states on their team. Like you just don't understand that. But thanks, Danny. We appreciate it, anyways. And I was having a hard time believing it when we got down there. And it was the second quarter. And I remember we were playing pretty well, but Ben had like 2 turnovers in a row. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if he can't handle the pressure, we're going to get run out of this gym. And then we won. And then it was like, okay. And it was fun because then it was like, all right, I got to do my job. I was handing out $20 bills to everybody to go get money, to go get concessions, stay in food. And I was like, I was the money man. I was Coach Craig gave me a big wad of money. And then I was like, oh, we got to go scout now. So we went and sat down to scout, and then it was like, oh, I got to scout at St. Vincent St. Mary's. And I'm like, oh boy, oh my gosh, we'll never go. And then they lost, and it was like, okay, I think we can win the whole thing now. And eventually got to the point where it's like, all right, we come out and had a good first quarter, and it was going well, and I will never forget this. As long as I live. Coach Gray yells, 3 defense, and I'm thinking, no. I told Coach Sellers on the bench, he probably remembers it, Coach Shoup, I'm sitting right between both of them. I said, why are we doing this? This is never going to work. We're going to all this momentum, and we're going to give up a layup or an open 3. You saw the highlight film at Jeff Thomas steal and a dunk later, and I said, I'm just going to sit down and enjoy the rest of this game and enjoy a state title. So, state titles do happen, and it doesn't happen very often, and it is unique, and it is special, Jeff, and I hope we see it again too, Jeff, but I don't know if we will. But it was quite an experience. I remember Coach Gray telling the kids this at one point in time too. The crowd will pull for you. And he didn't mean the Norwalk fans. He said the crowd will pull for you. And he was talking about the neutral observers, all the people that go down to the state tournament, right? Coaches, just the fans around the state. Because they want the community team to win. The team that does it the right way. And looking back at the state tournament the 10 years since, I've gone almost every year. Not quite every year, but almost. Some things have changed and some have stayed the same. Things that have stayed the same, we always see the new burgers every year down there. We always tell stories. We always run into coaches and fans that say, oh man, we remember that Norwalk team. We remember how much fun that was. And I was like, yeah, it was a lot of fun for us too. Crowds have gotten smaller though, that's how things have changed. We still see teams with manipulated rosters, AAU transfers, and so on and so forth. And rarely does a community win. But when they do, I always, tip my cap to them and consider them very special, because it was special. Lastly, I know that some of my JV guys, or Bluebirds, I believe as Coach Foster called it back then, made me feel like I wasn't on the highlight video and I didn't do much. But Ben is right. We were a team in every sense of the word, and it was a great team. And so because of that, I would like to honor the first team that's ever been inducted to the Norwalk High School Hall of Fame by saying this. Benny brought us leadership. Jeff brought us confidence. Told his mother we were going to win state when he was 14 years old. Grant brought us pinpoint shooting. Jordan brought us lockdown defense. Brett brought us physicality. Caleb brought us much needed size off the bench. Joseph brought us toughness. Matt brought us selflessness. Garrett brought us focus. Seth brought us swagger. Brandon brought us boldness. JC brought us energy. Travis brought us the willingness to do pretty much anything. Ben Newberger brought us basketball IQ, and Griffin brought us courageousness. Coach Gray brought us composure when everyone was nervous. Coach Foster brought us wisdom and experience winning 2 state titles before this. Coach Shoup brought his fiery pep talks, special when we played Willard. I brought the booster spending cash. Coach Sellers brought Duke, our critical continuity play that he finally convinced Coach Gray and Coach Foster to put in, and you saw them highlight film over and over and over again. Trainer Jarrett brought us the tape, Jeff Lodemeyer brought the clipboard, and Dennis Stieber brought the towel. Congratulations to Norwalk's team on your enshrinement in the North High School Hall of Fame.
What you hear over and over is just how special the group this really was. And, you know, they're special to me because I kind of started my journey in coaching and education with these guys when they were in 7th grade. And I remember Coach Gray giving me a phone call. He's looking for a middle school basketball coach. I'm student teaching over in Monroeville, and he's trying to talk me into it. He says, man, you got a great group of kids. Great group of kids, good individuals, good parents. And he talked me into it, obviously. And I'm a young coach, barely know what I'm doing, just out of the military. And luckily I had a great assistant coach in Kevin Cash. And I knew X's and O's wise, I wasn't going to be able to, like, these guys know basketball. These guys know what they're doing. So what we did, me and Kevin, is we worked, you guys. We worked hard every single day. Because we were going to bring the energy each and every day. And I'll tell you what, these guys could have coasted through that 7th grade season, and they would have won every game anyways. It wouldn't have mattered. It didn't matter what we did. They were just so darn good and talented. But I knew that this was a special group because they didn't back down from any challenge. They didn't back down from any kind of anything that they thought was unreasonable. They just worked hard. And Jeff said, hey, we're going to win a state title when he was a freshman. And you could see that when he was in middle school, too. All these kids. And the leadership they had and the amount of energy that they brought in every single day. Mr. Cooley was talking about at the beginning of the session, what great things were going on at our schools at that time. It was contagious all across. I'm an alumni of Norwalk High School. There's been 2 state championships in Norwalk. Our football team in '74 and the 2014 trophy basketball team. And I couldn't be prouder to be a part of that, even though I was just a little bit of that. And that's brought it. I saw that leadership. We got some of our basketball guys out in the back. And I know, Jeff, you said, I don't think we're going to have a team like that. Well, I challenge our basketball guys. It didn't happen by accident. It happened because they worked their tails off and they did things the right way. So I think we can bring another one back here. So I want to thank all of you guys for coming today. I had a very lucky to coach you guys. Thank you, Coach Gray, for giving me that opportunity. I actually got to coach some freshmen too. So Christ, you got 1 loss. I don't have any losses with him. So at this time, I would like to invite our Hall of Fame committee, our board members, and our school administrators to come up here to the front. We have changed. We used to have these wooden plaques we gave out to all of our Hall of Fame members, or all of our Hall of Fame inductees. I'll just talk right here. This year we got these nice crystal trucks. You guys can put on your mantle. We wanted to step it up a little bit because you guys deserve it. So you guys will get this at the end of this. There's boxes underneath our table. So there's a nice box you can put it in so it doesn't get broken on the way home. So make sure you guys grab that. So when I call your name down here, board members, Hall of Fame committee members, if you're here, please come down here and shake the hands of this very special team and these very special individuals. We're going to comment on how fast Coach Gray walks down there, too. All right, our first inductee today is number 22, Brandon Bliley. Number 44, Caleb Cashin. Nice and heavy. Good paperweight. Yeah, we'll get a picture afterwards. Number 1, Matt Davidson. Number 3, Ben Haraway. Number 23, Joseph Hinckley. Number 4, Grant Hall. Number 11, Jordan Johnson. JC was here earlier but ended up having to leave, but number 12, JC Jordan. Number 0, Garrett McFarland. Number 23, Ben Newberg. Number 10, Seth Staley. Number 24, Jeff Thomas. Coach Reed Shoup. Coach Wes Sellers. Coach Nick Lee. Coach Tom Foster. And Steve's going to wait a few minutes, but we're just going to wait for you. You can just go ahead and sit there because Steve's getting also inducted into the Hall of Fame as an individual. So we got the team going in tonight, and then we've got Coach Gray going in as an individual. So, yeah, so you're going to have to wait there for a second. So, you guys want to get a picture now? Or yeah, let's get a picture. Coach Gray, come up here, though. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, go up on the stage. Yeah.
You'll let me out? I'm having enough for today.
All right, at this time, I'd like to bring Coach Adam Kreischer up here. We are now going to start our process of inducting Coach Steve Gray. He's going in as an individual in the Norwalk High School Hall of Fame. I have been lucky and fortunate to coach for Coach Gray for many years, and then end up from going from as freshman coach to the AD here. So kind of a strange turnover of how things have gone, but I'll tell you what, over the course of my 15 years of knowing Coach Gray, he's a legend. You know him from afar, you know how good of a basketball coach he is, but you just don't understand the individual and how much time and effort and how much he truly does care about people, about the kids that he coaches, and I would even call him a friend now, getting to know him this long. So I've had many conversations with Coach Gray, and it gives me a great honor to be part of this ceremony today to induct such a great man. So I'm really excited to be here to induct Coach Gray. First person that's going to speak on the behalf of Coach Gray is Mr. Adam Kreischer.
I have nothing prepared, so I will say that Coach Slaughter says that he had, one less loss with that group than I did, which is true. We did lose a game that year. We were without one starter, but also I sat one of our guys, I think, for missing a homework assignment. I didn't press him. I remember calling a parent meeting with that group, the Grant and Jeff and Benny and Caleb, Jordan, that whole group of kids, and calling a parent meeting before the season started and telling them that, coming up with Coach Gray so many years ago when he first came to Norwalk, I was his JV coach, his varsity assistant for 2 years, and then his JV coach for 2 years before taking a head coaching job over at South Central. But I came up here with him, and I knew what it was going to take for teams to win league championships, which we weren't thinking state championship at that point in time, obviously. You kind of never are. But it had been so many years. I mean, does everybody have the number for sure? 50 or so? Is it 49 years since winning a league championship? Okay? And that was something that we were looking for. So I remember calling that parent meeting with that group and saying, we aren't going to judge the success of this year based on what our 8th grade record is. I'll judge the success of this season based on is this group of kids winning league championships when they get to the high school. So, we did some things differently and sat some kids out of practice for different things and all that because, again, being at that varsity level and coaching at that level, I knew what it was going to take for those kids to be successful at the high school level. And one of those things was also just like playing as a team. So that was a big focus for me when I had that crew as well, was getting them to play together as a team consistently. And I will say the group behind them though, right? The Breck and Matt Davidson and Seth and those kids, right? We did go undefeated, right, Seth? We did, right? But on to Coach Gray here, just to speak briefly. Obviously, we talk a lot about him as a coach, but also just him as a person. And for myself and my brother as well, when he first got the job up in Norwalk, he called and asked us both to come up and that's what brought me to Norwalk, is to be his varsity assistant. My brother was the JV coach. And for us to not even really have a thought about it, honestly, like Coach Gray is asking us to come help him try to start to build a program, and it wasn't even a thought in either one of our minds. Like, we were definitely coming with him, and that says a lot about him. It says a lot about his family. with Sue and his girls. And, I can remember, I don't know, probably 28 years ago now, before a tournament game at Ashland College, running over during introductions and giving Sue a hug, and was able to give her that same hug before our game tonight. So, it's a special, special family and a special, special person in Coach Gray. I played for Coach Gray down in Lexington, and also for Coach Foster at that point in time as well. Just great coaches, great people. When Coach Foster speaks, everybody listens, and now it's time to listen to Coach Foster.
I too want to thank the committee for all the owners tonight. My journey with Coach Gray began back in the summer of 1992. So if someone wants to think about a long time ago, I understand. I received a phone call from Coach Gray asking me if I was interested in helping him at Lexington. And after a few minutes of discussion, after refusing to coach the post as he wanted me to, we reached an agreement that I was going to come to Lexington and be his assistant. And the journey began. And what a journey it has been. Over the 32 years that I've known Coach Gray, I've learned a little bit about him. And I'd like to share with you just a few of those thoughts. And I hope that he will still be my friend after I get done. Coach Gray is a connoisseur of fine foods. And thanks to Alexa, I was able to spell connoisseur correctly. So, according to Coach Gray, there are 3 basic food groups. There's grilled, there's barbecue, and deep fat fried. Putting coleslaw on a pulled pork sandwich is a sin. You just don't do that. Coach Gray loves his ketchup. He loves his barbecue sauce. He loves his pizza sauce. All those have one main ingredient, tomatoes, correct? However, Coach Gray refuses to even eat a sliced tomato. Go figure. I learned another thing about Coach Gray in our first year, and this happened on our very first scouting trip at Lexington when we went to Wittenberg University in Springfield. And we were going to have a Friday night, Saturday morning scrimmage, so we stayed overnight. Coach Gray very conveniently arranged for us to stay at a very nice Holiday Inn. We had an indoor pool and other facilities. Everything was going fine until we get ready to go to bed that evening. There's myself, Coach Gray, and Coach Baker. And there's 3 of us in this room. There's 2 queen-size beds, and of course Coach Gray, being the head coach, gets the single bed. Coach Baker and I are going to have to sleep in the other bed. As we were getting ready to go to bed, Coach Gray managed to tell us, I think you guys should know that I snore. And he does. Coach Baker and I tossed and turned all night. We threw pillows. We turned on lights. We yelled, all to no avail. We hit our heads together 3 times as we tossed and turned. I think we managed to get maybe 2 hours of sleep. Next morning, Coach Gray wakes up and says, how'd you guys sleep? I've never had a better night's sleep in my life, he said. I cannot repeat, because there are family members in here, the comments that Coach Baker made when he attempted to respond to Coach Gray's comments. Another thing I learned about Coach Gray is the man could go to sleep in an instant. In tenths of seconds. We were at the state tournament one year, and It's a Thursday night, and the NCAA tournament was going on, and at that time there was always a late game. I believe we began at 8:30 on Thursday night, and we're at St. John Arena at that time. And we're back to the motel, and we're getting ready to go to bed again. This time there's just two of us, so I'm in good shape. I got a single bed for myself. Coach Grady's got one. And I go in, I shower first. I come out, I'm watching the NCAA game. Coach Gray goes in, showers, gets ready for bed, comes out, and says, "What's the score?" And I go, "Coach, the score." He is asleep before I can even respond with the score. Coach Gray was a great athlete. He was a three-sport athlete at Buckeye Central High School. He was quarterback on the football team, point guard on the basketball team, pitched on the baseball team, and played infield. Coach Gray holds the all-time record at Buckeye Central for most assists in a career and a season high for assists, averaging something like 12 and a half assists a game. Today I got on one of the websites and checked the NBA stats. There is one player in the NBA who's averaging over 12 assists a game. So that kind of tell you the territory he was in. Kind of questioned whether or not that was accurate information. And I come to find out that the statistician who did all the stat work happened to be a relative of Coach Gray. Again, it made me just kind of wonder and think. Coach Gray believes in setting goals. And each year we would talk about, what do we think we can accomplish? There's this goal, that goal, etc. One time, Coach Gray shared with me 3 goals that he had in life. One was he wanted to own a pontoon boat. Good goal. I asked him where he planned to sail the pontoon boat. He really wasn't sure at that point in time. Another goal he had in life was he wanted to go to Jacobs Field, Progressive Field now, and try and hit the scoreboard from home plate with a 9-iron. Very good goal. The third goal, to me, was the most impressive one. Coach Gray wanted to ride a horse in the Kentucky Derby. I'll just leave it at that. Coach Gray is a great person. He's a great friend of mine. He's a great family man. And he is a great coach. What makes Coach Gray a great coach? And I thought of many things. Number one, he worked at it. He worked hard at it. He was always looking to improve. He constantly tried to learn from his peers. One of the things that Coach Gray did, and I was lucky enough to be with him on many of these trips, is we would visit many college campuses and listen to head coaches, watch their practices. Coach Lovitz can contribute to that. Coach Gray has visited places like Ashland University, Worcester College, University of Toledo, the team up north, much to my disappointment. Michigan State, Purdue, Butler, University of Cincinnati, I'm going to read all these off, Duke, North Carolina, Wake Forest, and even others. Always searching for a little tidbit, something that could make his teams better. He scouted, and he scouted, and he scouted. Now, scouting has kind of become a lost art among basketball coaches because of all the videos you can get. But Coach Gray believed in being there in person, just because it allows you really to see people and get an idea of, are they 6'4" or are they 6'2"? Are they quick or are they slow? He prepared his teams, leaving no stones unturned. One of the great compliments that came from another coach was, he stated, there was nothing you weren't prepared for at the stadium. There were no surprises. You were prepared. Coach Gray holds his players accountable. And I think someone mentioned, I believe Coach Kreischer mentioned that term, they hold his players accountable. He wanted his players to be the best person, the best student, the best player they possibly could be. Some tried to say he was too demanding, too loud. But those of us who saw him firsthand and worked with him every day know that it was his tough love that he gave to his players. He cared. Coach Gray was innovative, always adapting, always looking for something to use for his team to put them in a position to win. Each year, he would set aside special plays for his players. It changed, as I said, from year to year based on personnel. He treated his assistant coaches so well. To demonstrate how he treated his assistant coaches, one of his former assistants has publicly stated, "The best years of my coaching career were spent working for Coach Gray. I was never so happy in my coaching life." I second that statement. My best years of coaching were with Coach Gray. Coach, thank you for all you did. Congratulations on your well-deserved induction into the Norwalk High School Hall of Fame. You put Norwalk basketball on the map. You started the tradition of success that continues today. Your record speaks for itself. Thank you. Coach, when you're after me, saving the best for last.
I don't know what to say. I thought I had some good roasts in my speech, but I'm disappointed I have to follow that. Coach Foster, I'm laughing so hard I thought I might cry tonight at some point in time because I normally do at these types of things, but I didn't think I'd be laughing at your jokes. So I've heard those things probably 500 times and they still make me laugh. So. One thing before I do go on to Coach Gray, I just want to say quickly, again to the committee and everyone that's in here, Coach Gray and I've had this conversation many times too. I see a lot of faces in here that played in this era of Norwalk basketball that aren't getting recognized tonight because they weren't part of that team. My hope is that we were able to find a way in the future to get 57-game winning streak as they recognized in the Hall of Fame, or the 2011 team that made it the first NOL championship, because those things were also very, very special to this era of Norwalk Trucker basketball. And I truly believe in all my heart that if we were not Division I for 2 years, that we would be talking about a 2P or a 3P too. So I just wanted to mention that. When I was asked to speak about Coach Gray, and I started compiling all these different stories in my head, funny things and stories. When you coach with someone for almost 15 years, it's kind of hard to condense it all down and put it into a speech, because I can't just get up here and talk. I have to write it down. And I was writing stuff, and I had zero flow to it whatsoever. And so I didn't know where to go. Then the other day in my leadership class, I was teaching a lesson on leadership styles, and I thought, here it is, I've got it. I will simply talk about Coach Gray as a leader and what type of leader he was as a coach. So I'm going through this sheet, and the first type of leadership style was authoritarian leadership. Too easy, right? And I was like, oh boy, see, everyone sees Coach Gray as authoritarian because he yelled. But he never did yell. He only coached loudly, right? Those are his words, not mine. The next was delegative. And Coach Gray was rather delegative. During breakdown work, Coach Foster was assigned to the guards, right? Coach Shoot, post, yep. What was Coach Gray going to do? Run the scoreboard. Scouting was especially rather delegative. Especially if we went to Richland or Crawford counties, because there was always someone that wanted to talk to Coach Gray. Hey, Steve! As soon as you walk in, hey, Steve! Shoot, I hope you brought an extra pencil, right? Because you're going to do double work tonight. And that didn't just go to Crawford County and to Richland County, also went to Bellevue, because you always had to talk to Mr. Baptista or Tiffin the night, Coach Shoup, when he had to color with the third grader in the coloring book, right? So there was always a lot of delegating with scouting too. And Coach Gray, I promise this is not a roast, but you were good at delegating me the paperwork and riding the bus as well. Truth of the matter is, I do appreciate Coach Gray's delegated nature because it always made me feel like I was part of the team and part of the coaching staff, even if it was just the JV coach for a lot of those years. And he gave me way more responsibilities than most assistant coaches have, and I do appreciate that so much. But I did find Coach Gray's true leadership style on that list: transformational leadership. A transformational leader is all about transforming the business or group by inspiring team members to keep increasing their bar and achieve what they never thought they were capable of. Transformational leaders expect the best out of their team and push them consistently until the organization goes through a transformation or considerable improvement. Transformational leadership is about cultivating change in organizations and people. The transformation is done by motivating team members to go beyond their comfort zone and achieve much more than their perceived capabilities. This is Coach Gray. You see, Coach Gray inherited a program that was 2-19 the season before. Coach Gray inherited a program that wasn't known for commitment at open gyms or off-season workouts. Coach Gray inherited a program that was in such a bad place, and I'm surprised this story hasn't gotten mentioned yet tonight, that Coach Kreischer once said at one of the first practices in 2001, "Let's see how long it takes before we can make 10 left-handed layups in a row." Is that correct? And it took a while, didn't it? You can ask Adam, Steve, or even Wes how long that took. Coach Gray inherited a program that had not won a league title since 1962. It had not won a district title since 1974. It was a program that only had 14 tournament wins in the previous 21 seasons. In Coach Gray's 21 seasons, he had 41 tournament wins. Coach Gray won the district 3 times. Coach Gray won the 6 league titles in an 11-year span, and we even got one at the end without a Haraway brother. Coach Gray completely transformed the program with over 300 wins at Norwalk, and the icing on the cake was the 2014 state title. When we had turned the corner and we knew we were going to be special, Coach Gray transformed the scrimmage and practice and game schedule to push us beyond what we thought was possible. He wasn't interested in chasing wins. He was interested in chasing Whitmer, Rogers, Lorraine, Detroit Consortium, Detroit Southeast, Toledo St. John's, Columbus Northland, Westerville North, Olentangy Liberty, Cleveland Central Catholic, Menor, Dayton Chaminade Julienne, just to name a few. Those were fun summer games, weren't they? Despite all the success, things were not always easy. Coach Gray taught me a lot about having thick skin, persevering. It wasn't easy. There were board meetings, losing seasons, not to mention bringing players into your home to live with you when they needed you. Coach Gray taught me about not listening to people whose actions and thoughts you cannot control. He taught me about admitting mistakes. Coach Gray also had a famous line when he made a mistake, too. Coach Gray taught me that things aren't always going to be perfect or even good. But if you work hard enough at something and stick to the plan and put yourself around good people and battle through the shots that are being fired, it is worth it. And sometimes you'll be rewarded. And sometimes you'll be rewarded in a big, transformational way. You see, Coach Gray was always in control of his program, whether it was authoritarian, delegative, or transformational ways. But he was also willing to give that up and give up that control in its ultimate prime for one thing: Sue. When Sue got cancer again, it could not have come at a worse time for Coach Gray's coaching career. But Coach Gray was willing to hang it up right then and there to be there for Sue. And thank God Sue is tougher than all of us, and Sue convinced Coach Gray to keep coaching so we could all have this complete experience tonight and see the entire transformation full circle. Coach Gray, congratulations on transforming Norwalk basketball, and welcome to the Norwalk High School Hall of Fame.
Boss, it's hard to believe we're friends. Thank you, Nick, and everybody that's here tonight. Before I start talking about the Hall of Fame for myself, I'd really like to talk about the kids. First of all, would all my players please come up here for just a minute and stand. Wes and Nick, would you come up here too? You know, one of my greatest fears was, would these kids enjoy the journey? And that's been throughout my career. Am I hard on them? Yes. Am I loud? Yes. I have quite a few negative qualities, but I always had their best interests at heart. And because of these kids and some of the others, it's been a great run. As this Hall of Fame was being put together, I talked to a couple kids, and what upset me or disturbed me the most was, I'm not coming because, you know, I wasn't a starter, I wasn't a star, I wasn't Jeff, I wasn't Ben, and all that. And they couldn't be more wrong. You know, we had great practices because we had great kids pushing them. First of all, Travis isn't here. Garrett McFarland, step forward, please. Brandon Bliley, Ben Newberger, and Seth Staley. Step forward. Coach Sellers, and would you stand next to him, please? During the tournament, we pay special attention to scouting. And we put a lot of time into it, and I would hope that once the game started, these guys knew what was going on. Starting with the Ontario game, which was game 22, and through the whole tournament, which was 8 games, so that's 9 games in a month's time. In that time, these kids, with the help of Coach Lee and Coach Sellers, learned every offense of every team we played. And when we would come together as a group, the first practice before the next game, I would take the starters, our 6th, 7th, and 8th man, and we'd go down and watch film and go over scouting report. And I gave Coach Lee and Sellers over a half an hour. And in a half an hour, they had to teach these guys the other team's offense. And they'd have diagrams, and they would go through it. And between the time they started putting everything in until that game, our starters probably saw the other team's offense 6, 7 times. And they knew what was going on. And without Wes and Nick's work and the basketball IQ of these kids and how hard they worked and how they accepted their roles, I don't think any of this would have been possible. Please give a round of applause for these guys. Okay, you step back now. Thank you. Now, could I have Caleb Cashin, Matt Davidson, and Joseph Hinckley step forward? You know, it's easy to talk about Ben and Jeff and Grant and Jordan and everybody else because they truly were special. But think about how many times these 3 guys stepped up. And I watched the highlight film this weekend with my daughters, and Nick Lee was right. To see what Caleb Cashin did
was just unbelievable. My favorite play of Caleb's is that long bounce pass against Ontario from Ben. You know, Joseph, his grit, his determination, another mini Jordan Johnson. And then, last but not least, Matt Davidson. Never made a mistake, solid, and just did a great job in his role. And Ben Haraway was right. I never heard people complain about, I didn't get enough shots, I didn't get enough minutes. And it was just truly a very special group. And thank you three also. Now, we got four starters here. Would you now step up? I think it was Ben that also said, or Jeff, that if they would have went to another school, they could have scored more points. They could have played more minutes. Is Jake Featheroff here? Hi, Jake. Jake's a great example. He didn't score 1,000 points, but he was as important to this group as anybody because he was willing to sacrifice for the good of the team. You know, Ben and Jeff, it was fun watching them grow up, especially during our tournament run. After every game, the media would come to me and say, bring Ben and Jeff with you. And when we beat Vermilion, when it started in regionals, and they were nervous and, you know, but they did a good job. But by the state finals, you couldn't shut them up. You know, they now had all the answers and, you know, they were truly very special. Jordan Johnson, you know, was thinking about not going out his senior year because of our play against Mansfield Senior. And it made me feel bad that he took a lot of the blame for that loss because of one pass. And everybody knows not one play wins or loses a game. It's 100 different little things. And then Grant Hall, he did more than just make threes. Defensively, how smart he was, anticipation, steals. And this was a very, very special group. Grant didn't have a great tournament run. It started with Ontario, went through the sectional, district, regionals, and he just wasn't making shots like he was capable, and it was affecting him, and Jordan was trying to motivate him. And Grant heard the same message from me every day. You can stop shooting, and you won't play. So you have to keep shooting. And Jordan Johnson said in Hazelwood's book, you know, I think he yelled at Grant, you're back. And then in the state finals, made the first three again, 2 games in a row. You're definitely back. And, you know, without him having that confidence to continue to shoot, none of this would have been possible. And I'd like to thank all you guys for a very special ride. You know, just a couple things about this team, because I think this team is more important than what I'm saying or my induction. You know, I told Josh Slaughter when he informed me what was going to happen, I said, let's just have it for the team. You know, I feel uncomfortable coming up here tonight because this is about you guys and what you were able to accomplish. You know, just a couple highlights of their journey. And I had down all their stats, but you've seen them already, the sectional, the districts, 57 straight and all that good stuff. But in 2011, we beat Shelby. At the time, it was top 10 in the state. And we were down 1 point, I think, with 10 seconds to go, and we had to go full court, and I took a timeout. And, you know, Coach Lee said I'm very smart and all that. I know great offenses and stuff. Anyways, I go, Ben, we're going to run press offense. We'll throw it to you. I have no idea what they're going to do, make a play. And Ben gets the ball, goes down the court, pull-up jumper, and knocks down a 15-footer to win. After the game, I get interviewed by Scott Truxton of the OKR, and he goes, did they run the play the right way? I go, exactly as I drew it up. So thank you, Ben. You know, the district game at Willard versus Mansfield Senior. And I think that's where we really started to believe how good we could potentially be. We played a great game, especially Jake and Ben. And after the game, what was so interesting, Coach Ellenwood from Ashland University came up to me and said, we'd like to offer Jeff a full ride to Ashland University. He goes, we'll never get him because he's too good, but I want him to know we're the first team to offer. So I thought that was pretty neat. The district finals, or the first round of the district at BGSU, we're playing Anthony Wayne, and they have a 6'9" player that's going to the University of Michigan. And the turning point of that game was in the first quarter, Jeff. We had a steal. I don't know who threw it to him, but Jeff dunked over a kid. And it was one of the most amazing high school moves I had seen. And it was just at that point you could just see that we were good and we would probably win. Coyne, the look on his face when I told him he was going to guard Darnell, 6'9", and Mr. Cash came in at a robust 6'3", but we had Jake on the backside. Regional at Whitmer, Savage Hall at University of Toledo. Whitmer had an NBA player. They had 2 NFL players, and they had 4 D1 scholarship athletes. And what was it? The score was tied late in the game, and we had a chance to win it. And everybody in the state knew Whitmer had an ineligible player. And at the end of the year, they had to forfeit their game against us. But the bottom line is we competed with them, and we had a chance to win it at D1. And if we would have won that game, we could have played a team from the Dyna, which we would have beaten. And Toledo Rogers, who we had beaten. And we had a chance to go back-to-back. Some of the stuff I was going to say has been said already, the 57 games and all that, but once again, some of the highlights. The Whitmer game. The night we played Whitmer, and everybody remembers the chairs on the floor and the packed house for the freshman game and all that good stuff. Over $14,000 was spent at the high school that night on tickets, concessions, and 50-50. Coach Renberg got yelled at by Whitmer's AD because we didn't have enough seats for their players and their fans didn't have enough seats, and I think he told them they should have come here earlier. And that was a big game, 2 versus 3 in the state. And after the game, Mark Hazelwood interviewed Coach Smith from Whitmer. And Mark said, what was the key to the game? He said, that's easy. Ben Haraway wouldn't let us lose. See, I'm smarter than football coaches. Football coaches have to set up plays. But I'm not smart enough to do that. Well, we ran a play, and it was really tricky. Everybody run to one side of the floor and get out of the way of Ben. And Ben scored like 14 or 16 points in the second half. And those are the things I always remember. Jordan Johnson shutting out Nick Williams for 20 minutes. He was a first team All-State. He was a Division II athlete, and Jordan shut him down. He guarded Sullivan from Lima Bath, who I think played in the NBA a short period of time, played overseas. He was 6'7", and Jordan held him to like 14 points. Caleb Cash on offensive rebounds. It was just an unbelievable run. Thurgood Marshall. Well, I got to go back with Jordan. He's a unique individual. He gave up 41 points or so against Vermilion. And he sprained his ankle, and he's telling me how terrible he is, and he couldn't guard anybody, and all that stuff. And the reason I want to bring that up is because for the state final game, state finals, we're playing a really good player. What was his name? Yeah, 6'7" kid. Layman. And, I remember Jordan. Jordan can't guard anybody. This guy's 6'7", so I'm going to put Grant on him because he's got more size. And then Maybe we'll put Jordan on him at the end of the game if we have to. So anyways, we have this meeting. It's Friday morning, and Foss isn't there because he drove home every night. He's doing laundry with his wife and all that good stuff. And after the meeting with the kids, Foss was by that time there. He goes, "What have you done to tick Jordan Johnson off already?" I go, "I haven't talked to Jordan. How could I make him mad by, it's 10 o'clock in the morning?" And I said, "Go find out, because I am curious." Well, he's mad because his role is to be a defensive stopper. But remember now, Jordan can't guard anybody. So I said, "Foss, go tell Jordan he can guard the best player, because that's his role. And tell Grant we're switching, So I stayed up all night. The coaches stayed up, filmed. We met at 11 o'clock so I could do my scouting report. And everything changed in 1 minute because Jordan Johnson got mad. And needless to say, he held him to 14 points for the game. He scored 10 in the last quarter when the game was already over. And just unbelievable. I have 2 pictures in my family room that dealt with 2014. One's a team picture where we're all together holding up the trophy, and that's very special. The other is Ben Haraway. He's walking towards the bench. There's Matt Davidson, it was on the film, Seth, Mr. Brandon Bliley, and there was one more, I forget who it was. But anyways, he's walking towards the bench. The game's, we know we're going to win, and there he is flexing. So Ben Haraway's in my family room, strutting his stuff. But anyways, this team meant so much to me and my family. Coach Lee brought it up. I talked to my wife after she got her second news for the second time she had cancer. And I talked about quitting. The girls were gone. She was home alone during the day. And I thought it was the right thing to do. And she said, absolutely not. And because of her strength and what you guys were able to do to her in terms of looking forward to something every week, you'll never understand or appreciate what you guys meant to my wife. Mark Hazelwood and his coverage of our teams, and he loved you guys, his book, his interviews, and what he was able to do. I think he's one of the best sports writers around in the state of Ohio. His articles, he just doesn't ask the cookie cutter questions. He tries to, really what's going on. And there were many times where we would talk for 5 minutes, and early on in my dealings with Mark and that team, my wife goes, should you be saying that stuff to him? Because I would tell him the truth, and then he would say, okay, the microphone's going on. And that's when the good things came out. But anyways, to the team, to the parents, to everybody, thank you very much, because 2014 was truly special. Okay, Wes Douglas will make me talk for half an hour now, so Wes, thank you. And I'll go through this really quick, as quick as I'm capable. First of all, thanks once again to the Hall of Fame Committee. It's something that is very deserving for this team. To the families, my family, would Mom and Dad please stand up? Stand up, you have no choice. Here's how things were different with my dad. He claims he doesn't remember this, but I was a quarterback at Buckeye Central, and things were different then, much simpler. We didn't have all the different plays and all that. We probably had 15 plays, 16, 8 to the right, 8 to the left. But anyways, I called my own plays, and the head coach would call the special plays. And we were playing at Marion Elgin. I threw 3 straight passes, and we were a power team. They were all incomplete. I came off the field, and the coach grabs me by the face and starts shaking it. And he said, if you ever do that again, you'll never play. And my dad, I went home. My dad goes, what did coach say? And I told him. And he goes, you big dummy, don't do it again. And that was the end of it. That was a different time. But I appreciate everything he did for me in terms of the sacrifices and letting me go to basketball camps and everything else. My brother Jim, please stand. He's a national champion, played at the University of Wittenberg. Talk about dedication. He would get up to 270 for the start of football, and then he'd go down to 210 or 220 after. And I don't know how he did it. My sister Sandy and her husband Mike, please stand. My oldest daughter Elise, please stand. When we were getting ready to play the state semifinals, my daughter was in, were you in nursing school or the nurse practitioner? And she went to a professor because she had a final or a test on Thursday when we played. And the professor said, no, you will be here to take the test. And she tried to explain to the professor, hey, it's my dad, state tournament, and she wanted to be there. She called, she goes, I'm dropping out. If I can't go to the game, I'm dropping out of nurse practitioner school. And I said, you're an idiot. You are going to stay in school. And all that. So her weekend was, she studied Wednesday night until midnight, drove to Columbus, watched the first half. Was driving back to Toledo to take her exam. And around, I don't know, Findlay or Upper Sandusky or someplace, she lost the radio in terms of hearing our game, so she had no idea who had won, but she found out rather quickly. She worked that night and came home Friday, or came back down worked Friday and came back down Saturday, or Friday night at midnight or whatever. But anyways, you talk about dedication, and it was good to have her there. My middle daughter, Kelsey. And our granddaughter, Niall. Kelsey, her drum beat's a little bit different. Love her dearly. She was the coach when I came home. Why did you do that? Why did you do this? She was always willing to step up and help me with the X and O's part. And she always brought a smile to our face, and she was a great assistant coach to have at home. We were playing over in Madison. This was after you guys graduated, and she goes, Dad, something's wrong with my car. It smells. So we went out, she opened the trunk, or the hood, thank you, and opened up. And there's this big rat just laying there. And so I coolly and calmly got it out of the car so she could go back home. But thank you very much for that. My daughter Elise, or I'm sorry, Caitlin. Somebody asked me to do the highlight film. She did. She had songs, especially the last one for the state championship, that she had held on to for a couple of years. She had been playing this video. She had done it, the previous years, but there's certain songs she wouldn't use, so that when we got to Columbus or wherever we ended up in 2014, she would have it there. And who would know, she got to save her song for the state championship game. So thank you very much for that time and effort. I think there's 5 reasons I'm going into the Hall of Fame. First of all, the administration over the years. Mr. Cooley, Mr. K, your first year, Dr. Babcock, Mr. Dowdy. They had my back. When things weren't going well a couple times, Steve, you're fine. and I knew I could trust them. The school board for having my back also, because there was at least one time that, I thought I was pretty close to not being there anymore. But thank you very much. Special thanks to Bob Duncan for getting me hired. I think he was the main person behind it. He saw me coach at Lexington. He was at Mansfield Senior. And I came home from the first interview and I told my wife, I think I'm going to get this job. And I was lucky enough to get it. After about 6 weeks at Norwalk Open Gym, I'm talking to Coach Sellers, who was the captain of my first team. I go, Coach Sellers, where is everybody? Because the varsity letterman coming back weren't at Open Gym. He goes, Coach, Open Gym's for the alumni. I said, what? The alumni. I said, this is stupid. I'm not driving from Lexington, Ohio to Norwalk for Open Gym to watch a bunch of old guys play. And I went to Bob Duncan's house and I said, listen, what have you gotten me into? This isn't going to work. He goes, Steve, you're going to be okay. And he was right. And after we won the state championship, we came home and there's a big, big sign on our garage that covered the front of our house. State champions and all that good stuff. And here was the Duncans and the Schulichs had come over and put it up for us. So Bob Duncan, I always appreciate what he did. And Mr. Cooley, I don't know if people like him or don't like him or whatever, but he truly is a trucker fan. He only cares about what's best for this school and what's best for these kids. And I admire that in him. I think he's doing a great job as a leader of our school district. He took me to Bowling Green to get tickets. That's the greatest feeling ever, to get to go to BG after winning the district the day before. He took me to Columbus, and I got to know him a whole lot better during those trips. We won Wednesday or Thursday, and we had how many tickets? How many? Not enough. And we sold it all out. And on, I think Thursday, or no, Friday, did you go back? On Friday, he went to the state, got 900 more tickets, and we sold out in 2 hours. And it was just unbelievable, the sacrifices he made, and the number of people that were there. To the ADs, Dave Renberg, during that tournament run, he was unbelievable. He asked me what I wanted at state. I said, I want a chartered bus, and I want cash. I said, these kids are not going to keep receipts or anything like that. And he gave us $2,000. And what was interesting is I gave all the money to Coach Lee and said, you're in charge, keep the receipts. And Coach Lee went into a panic mode. So he goes, we'll never spend this much money. So the first stop going down to Columbus, we stopped at the Amish place in Lexington. And Coach Lee, after dinner, comes back, he's in a panic again. 2,000. Cheerleaders didn't have money. And so I said, pay for them too. He spent $800. So after 1 hour on the road, we're down to $1,200. And the good thing about that, we had a family bail us out. After we won our semifinal game, we went, I asked Jordan and Grant what they wanted to eat, and they said wings. So we went to Quaker Steak, and that bill was over $800. And anyways, I went up to talk to Lenny, how much do we owe you? And she goes, it's been paid for. I go, what? I go, somebody called in with a credit card. I have no idea who it was, but they paid for everything. I go, what about the tip? They took care of everything. So the $800 we saved there, we now have enough money to get through the weekend. Anyways, thank you, Mr. Blythe. And I just found out it was him about a week ago. We were sitting at a girls' game, and I asked him. I said, I think it's you. And his family stepped up to the plate. The second reason I think I'm here is because of my family. I've talked about Elise, Kelsey, Kaylin, and my wife Sue. Without their support, none of this would have been possible. Kaylin more so than the other two, because when we moved here, they were older. But Kaylin grew up in the system, and she loved still does love the Norwalk Truckers. And I used to take them scouting with me. They would hang out in the gym with me, and they were a very special part of my life, being in the gym with them. Here's how tough my wife is. Things weren't going well one year, and it's a Saturday night, it's 5 o'clock, and she goes, "Where are you scouting?" I said, "I'm not scouting tonight." I go, "These kids don't listen," and la-di-da. And she yelled at me. She goes, "You've never done that in your life. You're not going to do it now." So, jumped in the car and went scouting because of her bossiness. Third reason I'm here tonight, the coaches. Wes Sellers, captain of my first team, played on my first team. He's one of the smartest people I've ever been around. He's a man of few words, especially when he began teaching or coaching with me. He didn't say a lot, but he would sit back and offer suggestions. He was almost like a college professor, and his suggestions and everything else were just unbelievably good. And he's grown as a coach. I've seen it in soccer and basketball. He's not as quiet as he once was, but Wes Sellers had a great deal to do with my success. One Wes Sellers story. We're playing Port Clinton. They're top 10 in the state in the sectional finals my first year. They went to 7 foot, 6'10", 6'7", and then guards. And like I said, they're top 10 in the state. We had won 8 games, I think. And we're going to hold the ball. We're going to hold it for 30 seconds, then shoot it. Or if it takes longer, that's fine too. So anyway, they come out man to man. And I thought they were going to go zone and presses. And I made a strategic move. I said, "Wes, you're the point guard." And Wes goes, "I've never played point in my life." I said, "Wes, the guy guarding you is 7 foot. If you can't dribble against him, you're a stiff." So, needless to say, Wes was successful. And obviously, we won the game. But once again, thank you very much, Wes. Along with Wes, Allison, Benny, Bryn, they've been a special part of my team. Bryn was probably one of the best scorekeepers I've ever had. Ben was probably one of the worst ball boys I ever had. We watched him before games at halftime. He was working on a shot. He's supposed to be throwing it out to our kids, but Ben was working on his shot. Reed Shue, the master of technology. Coaching takes a lot of time, and I didn't have to worry about stats. I didn't have to worry about sending films to other teams. Anything to do with technology and stats, Reed was the man. At halftime, he would have everything on his computer: who's shooting, who's not shooting, who do we guard, who we don't guard. He just did an unbelievable job. He also coached the post players. Sorry, Jake. But anyways, Reed did a great job communicating with them and then sharing with me what they were thinking and, ways in which we could improve. I would ask the coaches, put suggestions on a big whiteboard I had in my office. And I'd go back there later on, and they would have 40 things written up. I go, am I really that bad that I need to work on these 40 things? And Foss and Nick and Reed and these guys thought it was hilarious. I went in one day, and my 2 leaders, Foss and Shue, they had the Cleveland Indians 40-man roster, and they're arguing about who should be the 40th man on this team. And so when I did practice plan, I had to make sure that Foss and Reed didn't do drills close together. They had to be at opposite ends of the floor because they would start talking Indians during practice, and it annoyed the heck out of me. Reed with his wife Heather and his 2 kids Cameron and Coleman. Thank you very much. Nick Lee. You should have gave him the speech, Nick. You were really good. fact, Coach Slaughter said, maybe you should have Nick talk. He's pretty good at talking, and he did a great job. Nick didn't spend as much time scouting with us as closer we got to 2014. He was a little one at home and helping out. And so, and even after that, more in 2015, 6, 7. And Nick watched more film than I did. He would have stats, he would have plays, he would have everything. One day he would run down to me, here's what I got, da-da-da-da-da, here's the matchups, da-da-da-da-da. And he just did an unbelievable job preparing our scout team for the tournaments, and just his preparation and his passion to help us. Nick, with his wife Steph, and with his 2 kids, Evie and James. Thank you very much. In fact, Evie became, I think, my wife's faithfully granddaughter. In fact, there's a part of Evie's bedroom, it's called the Sue Gray Library. She spends more money on them than she does on me. Tom Foster. You know, Foss got the story wrong. I interviewed him in person at Norwalk High School. And I said, when he had said, I said, I'd like you to do post players, I'll do guards and all that. And Foss goes, I don't do post. I coach guards. I said, like I said, Foss, I'll coach the post, you coach the guards. And he's just an unbelievable person, a great friend. We've been together for, I think he said, 25 years. After about 5 games at Lexington, he came up to me and said, I want to do out-of-bounds plays. I think what he's really saying is, your plays stink and let me do it. So we let him do that, and he did press offense and all that good stuff. He's been a part of 3 state championship teams. 2 of the next one in Norwalk. He's in an Ohio High School Baseball Coaches Hall of Fame. And the best thing I can say about Foss, he truly is a great friend. Thank you. He's not very smart, though, to drive 60 miles one way to coach basketball at Norwalk High School. And I never understood why the kids liked him more than me. But I guess that's part of it. Coach Kreischer and his brother Mark, I never would have been up here without them. That first 2 years was quite a journey. After he goes, let's see, seriously, how long will it take for each player to make 10 left-hand layups in a row? We're calling varsity players only. And it took us 25 minutes my first year. And he's just laughing. He thinks this is funny. And but without them knowing what I wanted, I would never be here. To the parents, number 4. So I only have one more after this, Grant. Think about what parents do with coaches. They let us coach their most prized possession, their child. And the things they did to support us as coaches was unbelievable. The team meals, the locking decorations, yard signs, 50-50, concession stand, parents' night, and the list goes on and on. You know, we're getting ready to go to district finals on a Saturday. We play at 2 o'clock, I think. And anyways, in 24 hours, I forget which mother I called, they had everything ready. And we practiced, we ate, and we went to the game. My 3 favorite parent stories is Joseph's mom and dad at the state tournament. You would see them walking through our lobby, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And I go, what are you doing here? Well, so-and-so wanted their socks cleaned, so-and-so wanted a drink, somebody wanted a snack and all that. I go, you're out of your mind. But they were there, and they were there for the kids, and they made that a very enjoyable weekend. My favorite story, where is she so I can see her? There she is. It was Jake's senior year, and our 50-50s were really big. And the time the people got done counting. She was in charge that year. She just did a great job. Anyways, during the game, I'm standing there coaching, and there comes Jill Featheroff down, tapping Reed on the shoulder. I'm thinking, what does she want him to do? Shoot more? Does he want more playing time? Whatever it may be. I go, Reed, what did she want? She goes, she wants to know if he'll take a timeout so they can read off the winner of the 50-50. And it's just unbelievable. And the last story had to do with Jeff Thomas. We were at practice his freshman year, and we had water and Gatorade on the side. And parents were allowed in. I don't know if I told everybody that, but Jeff's dad was in watching practice. Jeff would go over to the cooler, look up, and see him be coaching him up. And this went on for a while, and I put my arm around his shoulder, and I said, Jeff, for 2 hours a day, I'm your dad, I'm your mom, and I am your boss. And Jeff took it very well, and his dad was a great supporter of ours. But anyways, to the parents, thank you very much. And last but not least, the players. You know, why was I a really good coach? I want to read you some stats, and then I'll be done. During my career, now you have to understand, like Jeff and Ben and Jake, they won like NOL, District 6, Northwest Ohio more than once. In my career, I had 48 kids make All-League. I had 40 kids make District 6. I had 30 kids make All Northwest Ohio. I had 12 All Ohioans. I had 6 1,000-point scorers: Stephen Hunter, Shane Johnston, Ben Haraway, Jeff Thomas, Brandon Haraway, Garrett Chapin. I had 13 kids play college basketball. So I think the theme is I had great talent, great kids, great parents, great administrators, and great assistant coaches. My last thing, people ask me, when we won the state championship, what's the first thing that went through your mind? All I could think of was Grant and Trey Halley, because we should have won it the year before, but we missed out by, I think, 3 kids. And I just wish they could have been a part of it. But anyways, thank you very much, everybody. I don't know if you guys knew this. Steph Lee is part owner of the Green Bay Packers, and they're playing tonight. So as an owner of the Packers, she's interested in their score. Who's winning, Steph? They lost? I'm sorry. Anyways, thank you very much. Be safe, and guys, thank you for coming back.